All right. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about some motivation. We're going to talk about some meditation. We're going to talk about some inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. Getting ourselves into that kind of a mentality, putting ourselves in that kind of a place where we're utilizing what we have inside. We're utilizing our focus. We're utilizing our mentalities, our abilities to overcome our challenges. What kind of challenges are you facing off against today? You know, I do have to be honest, sometimes I don't feel like hitting this up. I don't feel like getting on there. I don't feel like doing videos. But then as I start to continue, as I put myself in that kind of a place, as I start to get down with it, I start to recognize that it's what I do. It's who I am. It's a part of what we focus into. And so I just want to start sharing with you how to continue even when you don't feel like it, even when you're not able to push that button. You know, how do I push that button even when I don't feel like I need to do it today? Okay? So when we're working through challenges, when you're seriously in a fight of your life, you're fighting for your ability to be yourself, you're fighting for your ability, for your mentality, for who you are on the inside. And it comes from within who you are. It comes from your vibration. And so as I'm sitting here, as I'm looking at, as I'm going through challenges inside, as I'm working through things, as I'm finding ways to be focused, finding ways to keep the mentality going, I often reflect back to a time where I wished I could be right where I'm at right now. Okay? Where I could be able to rest, where I could know things would be okay, where, even with the challenges that we're facing off against, even with the things that we're going through, even with the things that are try to hold us back, okay? It's inside of our mentality that we have to start seeking that out, yeah? And I've seen over and over again cycles. I've seen things that I've had to work on, that I've had to work through. And when we start embracing our own mentality, it's not easy. Okay? When we start embracing our ability inside of who we are, when we start to want to achieve something great, okay? And that's what reminds me on a daily to get on here and to do a video, okay? And for those of you that know my story, know the challenges that I've gone through, know the things that I've faced off against, that, you know, in other people's worlds, they might just say, poor me. That's not how I look at this world, okay? The way that I look at this world is through a set of positive eyes, through an ability inside of ourselves to see a way to get back up, to start to swim. And when we start looking at what we have, I'm going to share a story today. I'm going to share a story. I know a couple of you might have heard it or whatnot, but I used to carry a picture on my iPad of someone paddling out into a storm, okay? And it had a lot of memorization to the types of sacrifices that we make to believe in ourselves. And I had gone to a auto shop. For some of you know, I've been doing Uber for about 5 years, okay? So I go into this auto shop, and when I'm at the auto shop, I had driven the vehicle so much that I was literally wearing the wheels off the car, okay? At a certain point, the bearings were worn out, okay? I could no longer carry people, all right? And so I'm sitting here with bills on a desk, sitting in a place, trying to focus, and it rains outside, okay? Starts raining down. What do? When everything brings you to the ground, my friends? Do you get in your boat and start swimming and having the faith in yourselves? Do you get out there? And that's exactly what I did. I started delivering food. I started to recognize that I needed to be grateful for the things that I did have, okay? Not for what I didn't have. That when I was so focused, I found that other people, the universe itself was supporting me. That the time that I was going through, that challenge that I was facing off against, the storms that we're facing off against, sometimes we might be able to enjoy them. And so I'm sitting there, and I remembered looking back even years later, saying to myself, you can do that. You can make it through your storms. You just have to focus to that point where you can do it. Focus to that point inside of yourself where you start to believe in you. And sometimes they're going to storm around you. And when you believe that you're greater on the inside, you will make it through those challenges. You will find the way to paddle out during that storm. And you see, that takes courage, my friends. It takes the ability inside of who we are to believe in ourselves, to believe in our mentality, to believe that we're worth it. You see, I am getting ready to go into year 2 of what takes minimum 3 to 5 years to become a professional at. A minimum of 3 to 5 years. I have faced turbulence. I have faced rejections. I have faced people who said, you can't do this. You can't achieve that. You can't become that. And every little victory that I faced, I did it through mentality. I did it through the ability inside of ourselves to believe in who we are. To believe in the ability that you could paddle out in your storm. See, if you're too afraid, it'll hold you back. If you're not willing to be who you are on the inside, it doesn't matter what other people think, okay, or say. That part's got to die, okay? The person inside of you yourselves has got to live. To be truly alive is to paddle out in those storms, okay? To take that ability inside of yourself to be who you are. And it took me a long time to get there. And even farther time was the ability to understand that other people have their own storms inside. Because when you don't feel like you're swimming, when you don't feel like it's possible, it's not just you that's facing off against storms. You have to start to become understanding. You have to start to become encouraging. You got to say, come on, let's go paddle out in the storm together. And you know what? When you start doing that, that cold starts to become a little bit warmer. Those challenges start to become a little bit smaller. The ability inside of yourself to believe that positivity might just come your way starts heading your way. But you cannot push away the warm campfires. You can't push away the beautiful stars. You cannot push away the person that you are inside. So how do we focus like that? See, this world outside, it's not cool. Okay? It's what's in here, in your mind, and the ability between those two eyes. If you could see, if you can't see, it doesn't matter. If you can walk, if you can't walk, it's not about what you don't have, my friends. It's about what you do have. Okay, you're hearing what I'm saying? Look at the blessings that you have. And that's the story of that storm to me. That storm to me that I used to keep a picture of on my iPad was a reminder that even during the storms, I could still paddle out. See, I remember when I got in a car accident. Okay, guy hits me 10 miles an hour on the side. You know, I'm sitting here with no place to go without no pain. Everything I did, every place I went, every way I turned my neck left, it hurt. I turned my neck right, all of my nerves, all of the back was completely swollen. Okay? You know, I had I had displaced both of my hips. I had thrown a vertebrae out in the center of my body, and my neck was elongated. I walk into a chiropractor's office, and the chiropractor tells me, "You have the most damaged back I've ever seen in my entire life." Okay. All right. Cool. You kicked my butt. All right, universe. You did it. You kicked my butt. Now, that's not the thing. Am I going to let that stop me from being able to walk again? Am I going to let that stop me from being able to be who I was and who I am inside? So what did I do? What did I do? Yeah, I started 17 chiropractic visits. Okay, every single time I did a chiropractic visit, I went to the beach. I sat in front of the beach. I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start doing yoga. I'm going to sit down inside, because you know what? The one who believes in themselves is a true master within. So I'm sitting there in pain. I'm saying, I'm going to do this. I started walking from one side of Pacific Beach to the other. One side. And all of a sudden, a little bit faster, and a little bit faster, and a little bit faster. And all of a sudden, I was swimming. I was running. I was doing yoga on the beach, doing meditation on the beach, using the skills, the talents that I had. It ain't about nobody else. Remember, this isn't a war versus anybody else. It's always going to be you versus you. That's what it takes. When you start lifting yourself up, you start embracing the people that are bringing you closer to you. And, you know, I could have just stayed there and said, hey, I'm going to end up in a wheelchair. And I totally would have. There wouldn't have been a single thing that I could have done if I didn't put myself in a mentality to get back up. Okay? You know, yesterday we wrestled a cow. You know, I'm grateful I could walk. Okay? But yet alone, I have the strength in the mentality, strength in the vibration, strength within oneself. You know what separates me from other people? And you know what can separate you? Your determination. Your ability to say, I'm not going to sit in a wheelchair and I'm not going to stay down. And you know what? You each have that inside of yourselves. You have the ability to get out there and to grind when other people say it's not possible. You have the ability inside of yourself to believe in you. Do you? Have you sat down to that part of yourself? And so you see, the story I was getting at was that after a while, the summer started to end. The winter started to kick in. What? Am I going to get in the water? Am I going to let that little bit of things stop me from the person that I want to be? And you know what? I continue to get in that water for even a month later. There is, when one person, anybody, and I'm talking to all you out there, when you decide in your mind you can achieve something great, you can do it. But you got to be positive about it. You got to put yourself in a place where you're willing to go out in that cold water. You're willing to use the things that you have, the ability inside of yourself, the challenges. And it's when you start to embrace those challenges, it's when you start to see those type of things, when you start to become greater on the inside than the things you're facing off against on the outside. And you know, it reminds me of the water today. Look at this. I'm sitting here in front of a computer. I'm sitting here in front of Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm looking back, okay, at those first videos. I'm looking back at that scruffy hair, that long beard. I'm looking back at the ability to sit inside. And I see behind me a picture of the thing that kept me alive, my friends. I asked myself every single day when I was sleeping in a van, when someone that was supposed to love me left, okay? What is it that drives you, Marcel? What is it that makes you who you are? What is the one thing that separates you from everybody else on the face of the planet? And as I was getting my butt kicked, I sat in my car as I was listening to those motivational speakers, as I was delivering food with my two dogs. As I was sitting in a place inside, I asked myself one question. What is it that you want to be, Marcel? What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that makes you different? And I said to myself, I said, mentality, my friends. Mentality. Okay? I said, from now on, every single day that I wake up, I'm going to ask myself this question. Is what I'm doing today, is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? If it's not one of the three, I don't want it in my life. You hearing what I'm saying to you? You getting what I'm kicking? You know why? Because the people that are going to be around me are going to start to see themselves. The vibrations start to come out. And I know it's not easy. I know that sitting in front of a camera on a daily basis is not easy. Hearing people tell you that you got to do other things when you truly want to grind, when you truly want to get down to it, when you truly want to put yourself in a place, having a vehicle in a shop stopping you from being able to drive, having the people that you want closest to you have to have their own challenges, have their own things they're working through. Well, you are too. And you know what? That's why it's worth it. It's worth it because without those challenges, you wouldn't be grateful for the storms that you have. See what I'm saying? I'm saying if you choose to just be positive, if you choose to have a positive mentality, if you choose to be who you are on the inside, that you can face off against your challenges. You can face off against things that other people don't think are possible. And it ain't about what they are thinking about you. It's about what you think about yourselves. And I had nothing. I was sleeping in my van. I'm there meditating, delivering food for 12, 14 hours a day. And I'm sitting there with two dogs in the car, getting inside the sauna. And people had all these other things around them. They had all these other advantages. They had this and that. And they had these things that you could do this, or they had those things. And guess what? I was breaking barriers they couldn't even touch. Okay? They were saying it's impossible for you to stay in a sauna past 2 hours. What happens with what's going on inside of you? And what happens when you start to want to be hot inside of you? You know what the most attractive trait on the face of the planet is? I'll tell you. It's getting in front of a camera every single day. It's saying to yourself, no, I am going to get in front of this thing every single day. Okay? And that's what I got. I got determination. I got mentality. I got the ability to sit down and to continue to grind. Bruce Lee once said, I fear the man who kicks one kick 10,000 times. I'm going for that kick. Are you? See what I'm saying? I'm sitting here. I'm grinding. I'm in a mentality. I'm in a place. I want you to be uplifted to that point too. I want you to not only other people see you as that, but when they don't see you because you changed so much that you ain't changed at all. You hearing what I'm saying? Being yourself. And I'm sitting here telling you it's worth it. I'm telling you that I'm going to kick that one kick 10,000 times. You see, when I was in Europe, okay, when I went to Europe, when I went in the museums, when I looked at the paintings, I wrote in my book, okay, I wrote in my book these words. I said, when looking at art, we notice that the people view that art more than 10,000 times. Are you taking the time to master your crafts, my friends? To get that music to 10,000 ears, to get that voice, to get that speech out there to 10,000 people, to write that book, to speak those words, and it's interesting because sometimes, people are like, well, I can't wait for Jesus to come back. But what about your hands and feet, brothers, sisters? What about you? What are you doing to make this world a more beautiful place? What are you doing to be who you are on the inside? The gifts that the Most High gave to you. Are you putting it on somebody else for you to have these hands, to have this voice, to have this ability to be who you are? Or are you truly sitting down inside of yourself, seeing yet that you are a blessing? You see what I'm saying? And I was there meditating. And I was in a place and I was saying thank you. And I was out there giving the thank yous to everybody. And all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute. Even the very words that we speak are blessings. Why are we not leaving each other's blessings? Why are we not putting ourselves in a place where the mentality starts to come out from within who we are? And then I realized, are we enjoying the process that we're on? Are we truly becoming that kind of a tool? Are you having those hands and feet that you're expecting somebody else to have for you? Or are you doing that for you? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Are you getting what I'm kicking out there? What I'm putting out there? What are you doing with these two hands, with this voice, with whatever you got? Okay? It ain't about what somebody else has. Ain't nobody else gonna do it for you. Okay? And it's when we start to see that level, okay, that we start to have a true relationship with the Most High. Is when we see the blessing that our own lives are. And it ain't selfish for you to be you. It's actually quite selfish for you to not be yourself. It's quite selfish for you to not be who you are on the inside and to sit down and study you. To see that your path, your journey is worth it. Instead of throw it away, you're going to throw away your journey just because you're afraid of what other people think of you. I looked at myself and I said to that, I said, no way. And it wasn't just one person. It was multiple people that said, I don't know if this is possible. I don't want my family to see this. I don't want them to see you for you. You see what I'm saying? And I sat there in that car. And I remember that day where I almost died after 5 hours of being in a sauna, an additional 3 off and on. And I remembered being with every single nerve seized, barely able to breathe. And I said to myself, if I die right here, I'm not afraid to die. And I was sitting there in the car. And I said, I'm going to live. I'm going to live a life that I love myself first. And what does that mean to you, Marcel? What does that mean you're going to love yourself first? What does that mean? It's just a freaking word, Marcel. It's just a word. What does it mean that you're going to love yourself first? No. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to study me. I'm going to get to a mastery within myself where I can be who I am. Where I'm not going to allow myself to be put in positions that are going to stop me from being who I am. That I'm going to be that person who cares for themselves, who has self-care, has self-ability, has self-mentality, that whatever happens around me ain't going to change how I am on the inside. I'm not afraid of you liking or disliking me. Because that part of me died, okay? The minute that I almost died. It died the minute where I was no longer afraid to be in the sauna, to pass time, to even pass away in there. And yeah, other people said it was impossible. This guy did it. Impossible is just a word. It's a word that other people have used to say, I don't know if I can do it. And so as I passed time, as I put myself in a place, as I started working with people, as I started to study, as I started to write, as I started to use those skills, Okay? When I was younger, let me share a story from when I was younger. When I was younger, I was diagnosed with a learning disability. Okay? Couldn't read, couldn't write, couldn't speak. Okay? I was extremely shy. All right? You see the people around me now, that they see me now, they see the person that I am. Yeah, that took me sitting down in front of a freaking pen and paper and saying, let's do it. That took me getting to the point where I could trust myself enough to believe in myself. It took me being in a place where nobody else wanted to go, going through darkness inside, going through challenges that nobody else wanted to go through. But you know what? That's why I stand here today. That's why I stand right where I am. That's why I believe in myself. I believe in the ability. I believe in the challenges that I face off against on a daily basis. See, it's interesting that everybody wants to seek out a guru, right? They want to seek out somebody for their approval. They want to seek out somebody. What about the one inside of you? Okay? What about when you sit down and study yourselves? You sit down and study your abilities. You sit down and use your mentalities. And it's kind of interesting because, one of the best pieces of equipment in a gym is a treadmill. You know why? Because when you work with the simplest parts of you, when you work with the parts inside of yourself, I've been through physical therapy so many times. I get it. Okay? All right? I watched as a cow, 800-pound cow, tried to pull my brother and was pulling my brother, but when I grabbed the rope, I pull that thing backwards. Okay? I watch as we focus to be who we are. See, who trains this? Who trains their focus? Who writes stuff down? Who wants to become the masters in their positions? This is the type of uplifting. This is the reason why I get in front of the camera every day. This is the reason why I'll be doing this until the day that I die. You see, I was asked when I first came here. My dad, he was like, "Why are you going to meditate? Why are you going to meditate? Stop meditating. You can't stop this breath inside of your body. You can't stop this mentality." See, and you know what the answer that I gave to that was? I'm going to do meditation until I breathe my very last breath. You know why? Because now I'm not afraid to die to be myself. I'm not afraid to be held back by the challenges of other people. I'm not afraid to recognize that who we are inside matters. That it's not about what other people think about you, it's what you believe about yourself. And when you focus to that point where what other people say or other people do doesn't matter to you, what you believe about you matters. That's when you start to focus to the point where that moves out of the way. And guess what? I'm sitting here in front of a camera today, focused on this today. Okay? And I'm telling you, I wouldn't be here right now if I allowed what other people say. You see this shirt that I'm wearing right now? Okay? This shirt, this tattoo, this mentality, these companions that want to be with me, the persons that see this beauty, what they see is determination. They see a level of focus within themselves. They see a vibration inside of them. And each of us has it. You see, when you're willing to be who you are, people are willing to take and give you their jacket. Last night I was over and, we got these cows and one of them got out and earlier in the day, I had two jackets on and, one of the helpers came over because we were putting chain link together and he said, "I'm cold." I'd remembered I had two jackets on. I said, "It's okay. It's all right. I got two jackets on. Go ahead and put one on right now." When do we give a jacket of that kind of positivity to warm other people up? You know, I I see that. Okay, and that's what drives me to do these kind of videos. Okay, you know, when we're using the things like the law of riches, when we're in that kind of a mentality, when what we are going through is not greater than we are on the inside, we don't just heat up our worlds, my friends. Our motivation becomes a reflection. Other people see that reflection and they want to do it themselves too. So, how do we get this thing inwards? How do we start on that second piece? How do we start talking about that thing that I'm recognized for as Mr. Daddy Meditation? Let's get down with it, okay? Let me go ahead and start talking about some meditation here and now. So, in meditation, we're exchanging emotion, pain, and fear for knowledge, okay? And until you allow that energy inside of you to heat you up to that point where those things that aren't you die, then you're still going to face off against them. They're going to still come up. They're going to still be in front of your face. And you're going to be still facing off against them. They're going to be right in that barrel, right in front of you, asking if you have the ability to face it. Last night, I got to experience that firsthand. I was outside, and we had a cow trying to charge my brother. So we're sitting there, and I'm like, that's it. What point do you go inside and go, I know I can take this down. I could face off against this thing. I could face off against these barrels that I'm going off against. You know, and you can use that in your professions. You know, I have a friend who's close to my heart who she has a challenge with expressing herself. And it's not that she's not very intelligent on the inside. It's that she's so intelligent that she reserves the ability to even be able to express herself. And in certain ways, it takes that decompression to get her to express herself. And it is amazing because there is a very special piece of people to be said who have patience to the point where they're able to observe before they say things. And that is a form of knowledge that comes from the heart. You see, when we're speaking from the heart, we're talking about an energy of relation and an energy of understanding. And when we start to learn to voice ourselves, or we start to use that kind of energy, we sometimes have to pull from within who we are. We have to pull from within our being. We have to pull from within our ability inside of ourselves. And I enjoy self-growth, but I also enjoy seeing other people grow as well too. And I remember when, you know, one of the things that I miss the most right now is that I'm waiting for more students to come along. And it doesn't change the mere fact that I'm learning and the people around me are still learning. It's just a progression, okay? When we all start to get inwards to the point where we start using our breath, or we sit down with ourselves, what we're seeking out is understanding, okay? And, you know, there have been times where I have allowed things that happened before to me to hold me back from opening up to a greater understanding. And I look at how to decompress that, okay? And I see it comes from within. Okay. Everything we face off against on the outside is not from the outside, it's coming from within you out. And a lot of times we get crushed from the outside and not what's truly going on inside. When we start to head inwards, when we start to utilize our gifts, it's like a fan heating up gold. The knowledge on the inside is waiting for you to extract it. It's waiting for you to understand it. And when you start to, you light up inside. You start to see the part of yourself open up. You start to see your purpose. It's like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And when we're facing off against that tunnel, a lot of times we go through those moments where we say, I'm not okay. And if we continue anyways, which is the reason why I'm doing a video today, we will see the end of that tunnel. We will find the light at the end of that tunnel. It will find its way to you even if you don't find a way. But you got to believe in yourself to that ability. And I'm sitting here today telling you it's possible. I'm sitting here in front of Periscope, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and my podcasts, okay? Talking to you about what saved my life with the knowledge inside to be oneself. And, want to have self-care to the point where not only you, but other people say self-love coming from you. And I want that for you guys too. I want you to see you for who you are. To be able to grab that person inside of yourself, to be able to give yourself that kind of a hug. And as I was talking earlier, and the person I was talking to was like, most important is you care about you. And they grabbed their arms and they hugged themselves. And are we doing that? Are we giving ourselves those little bit of care? Those little bit of self-being, of self-understanding, of self-purpose? Are we able to get to that part inside of ourselves where we grow to that place? And within ourselves, we can achieve it. You see what I'm saying? So, are we able to light up that part of who we are? Are we able to utilize that part of our ability? You see, seeing you for you is quite liberating. It's freedom inside to overcome our challenges that opens us up. It's when we start to get to know ourselves. We get to start to ask the question, do I have time for me? Are you inside of who you are? And so let's take a minute and recognize ourselves. Recognize that you're worth it. Okay, now let's go ahead and start talking about that part of your knowledge being connected to your focus. You see, when it's inside of you, when you sit down and do the things that you enjoy, when you sit down and be who you are on the inside, when you sit down and believe in you, when you are that person inside, then you can become disciplined. The place where focus and knowledge lays, where ability and challenge becomes, where discipline finds its place inside of you, where the focus and the knowledge inside vibrates outwards. And are we doing that today? Yes, most definitely. But you know what's happening? A lot of people are twisting that to be selfish, to want things only for them, to want things to only be them, to not want to be who they are on the inside, to gain that part of themselves, to find that place where they can repeat those things daily and find a mastery within who they are. And this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about you and you. We're talking about your knowledge. We're talking about your focus. We're talking about your ability inside of who you are to be who you are on the inside. What a blessing challenges are, my friends. When you know that you can make it through it, when you start to get to the other side. I have seen people that are shaking because they haven't connected their focus and their knowledge together. I have seen the challenges, I have seen the things that, others would not want to go through become possible because we start believing in ourselves. We start believing in our abilities. We start believing that we're worth it. And when you start to see that, when that discipline starts to show up, are you uplifting other people? Are you bringing other people close to achieving their dreams too, even when you're going through that storm? Are you getting to that point where you're paddling past those kind of challenges where what you face off against you overcome? And so, how do we utilize it? How are we utilizing it? And it's amazing to see when you're helping other people, they start believing in themselves. When you're next to them saying, we can do it, come on, you can do it. You can believe in yourself, it's worth it. That those storms start to lighten. The sun starts to shine. That storm starts to clear. So I want to inspire you to make it through your storms. I want to inspire you to recognize that on the other side of those storms is a clear sails. That to make it through the storm is to enjoy the experience. To make it through the storm is to know that it can only last so long, that you're worth it, that you can believe in yourself, that you can become disciplined, that you can help other people to be able to paddle through their own storms too. And as I get close to the conclusion of this motivation, meditation, inspiration for the day, might this story reach you in that storm and lift you up, that you might be able to see through that storm and get to that dry ground within yourselves. Know that you can do it. Know that you're worth it. Know that you have what it takes inside of yourself to get up there and share your story. And I just want to say to you all, blessings, blessings, blessings. As always, namaste.